Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm pleased to say that the weather here has brightened up. So this afternoon, undoubtedly, I shall go out and tackle some masculine chores, like maybe operating the weed whacker for a little while. Or I shall potter around and tidy up the shop. Nothing too vigorous. I've exhausted myself with watching YouTube and somewhat half-heartedly moving a vacuum cleaner around. So I saw two excellent fighters being interviewed, both being interviewed by Box Nation. And the two excellent fighters are arguably number 3 and 4 in the world, Joseph Parker and Agit Kaybayel. Now, each were interviewed for, 15, 20 minutes or so. So this is going to be a really sort of, the view from 25,000 feet synopsis, if you like. Let's start with Agit Kaybayel. He was being interviewed in the Queensberry offices. He'd been meeting with George Warren, apparently, talking about a homecoming fight in Germany. Agit Kaybayel is, of course, a resident, maybe a citizen, I guess, of Germany. I believe he was born there. He's of Kurdish heritage, and he made much of that by saying how grateful he is to the support he gets from the Kurdish community, as well as the more broad support he gets from the German community and from others. And even though I'm a long way from Germany, I'm also a Agit Kaybayel fan. He ticks a lot of boxes for me. He's first of all, he's really very good in the ring. He's tackled some big fellows, Makhmudov, who may have been overrated, but still, at the time he entered the ring, he was number 3 or 4 in the WBC. And of course, more recently, Agit Kaybayel has disposed of the gigantic Zhilei Zhang. And in between those two fights, he saw off Cuba's very capable Frank Sanchez. And all were taken with body shots. So we really should be saying that Agit Kaybayel is the real body snatcher. Anyhow, Agit was saying how much it would be, desirous on his part if he was to have the homecoming fight in Germany against Alexander Usyk. He very much is of the view that Alexander Usyk will prevail tomorrow at the Wembley Stadium Undisputed Heavyweight Championship of the World between Alexander Usyk and, of course, Britain's own Daniel Dubois. But he did say that Alexander Usyk should be very careful, particularly in the first half of the fight. Agit was saying that Daniel Dubois will be very dangerous early on, and I think that's sort of well accepted that Daniel Dubois he is going to be almost ferociously powerful early on. I wouldn't discount him at any point. He's a great athlete, and I would imagine if Daniel Dubois can land something clean, it's going to take a while to buff out, as it were. But he did think that in the later part of the fight, Alexander Usyk is going to go through the gears. That's my words, not his. And that he will be successful. He thinks by points, but he did not discount a late stoppage on the part of Alexander Usyk. So I thought that was interesting. When he was asked, Kaybayel that is, about other fights, he is essentially, hey, I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime kind of thing. And that's another reason I really like him. Though the only fellow he sort of kind of did that about fighting was when it was posted that he might want to consider fighting Lawrence Okolie because, let me see, Okolie is the number 1 contender and Kaybayel is the interim champion, right? WBC, I guess. Maybe not. I can't remember which one. No, WBA? my brain. Never mind. Anyhow, in the sanctioning body that they're both in, one is the interim champion and one is the number one contender. And he said, well, like he spoke very favorably. Oh, well, Lawrence is a very good fighter, all that. But he's not really fought any names. What Agit Kaybayel is looking for is a name, somebody who's been in with big names. So he was very open to the idea of Parker, of course. And that would be a great fight I'd like to see. Though my view is that each of Parker and Kaybayel deserve a title shot. Like they really, based on their resume and their recent performance, both I think deserve a shot at, I'd say, a real title. I don't mean to be disparaging of interim titles and silver belts and other such things, but forgive me. I think of there as being one champion and the rest are sort of like contenders. I know everybody gets a belt sort of thing, but that's the modern world. I understand it, but I don't have to like it. Now, Joseph Parker was interviewed. I guess he was being interviewed at Wembley. Joseph Parker, now of a really quite fulsome beard, looking quite piratical almost. Joseph Parker, who, just like Agit Kaybayel, you have to like these guys. Well-spoken, clearly can do the business in the ring. Ambassadors of the sport, the kind of people that you say, well, I'll listen to this person because they're not full of, and they've got something interesting to say, and they're articulate, and they don't engage in all this, running of the mouth. Parker also asked about upcoming fights, and Kaybayel, of course, is there. Parker clearly wants a title shot, and he deserves one. But Parker was also picking Usyk to win. Now, Parker was much more bullish on the idea of a Usyk late stoppage. Very interesting. I was kind of expecting Parker to more sing from a company song sheet, I suppose. Maybe I was expecting Kaybayel to as well. But both these top fighters were clearly... they were speaking very respectfully, of course. These are not the guys who run down a fighter. They were speaking very respectfully about Daniel Dubois, as is deserved, but they were both saying that they think that Usyk has got it sorted out here. And like I say, Parker was really rather bullish on a late stoppage. And I'm hearing late stoppage now from more and more people. Some of you who may have watched the show I did with Jamie yesterday may have rolled your eyes. Jamie's been very certain on the idea of late stoppage. As have some other boxing acquaintances and friends that I've made, and we chat on WhatsApp thing, and there's a little bit of a groundswell that Usyk might come through with a late stoppage. I have to say that would be very appealing to me. I don't really see it myself, but it would be very appealing to me because then it would put to bed any officiating wobbly stuff, any controversy. I suppose ideally, and this is sort of a bit. A little bit tongue-in-cheek. So if you're a big Dubois fan, please don't sort of lose your shit over this. It would be nice to see Daniel Dubois touch down a couple of times, and for Don Charles, the bitterest man in boxing, to throw the towel in, wouldn't it? That would set the cat amongst the pigeons. But that would be. No, I'd rather it be I don't want to see anything like that, really, to be honest, because then it'll just start more and more and more controversy. What I would like to see is an absolutely unambiguous, incontrovertible ending with Usyk with his hands up and Daniel being okay, but unable to meet the count. I've no wish to see anybody being sort of injured as such, but I would like to see Daniel being stopped and not able to make the count. And that would then say, right, we can put that to bed, right? And then Usyk can move on and maybe give Parker or Kaybayel a shot. I think a very strong case could be made for both. For me, I think that Kaybayel would be the harder night's work for Usyk, to be honest with you. Now, Kaybayel is a wee bit flat-footed compared to Usyk. Yeah, something tells me that the styles would not necessarily favour Usyk. And Parker as well, maybe. You know, and if we start to talk then about, you know, how do we rate Usyk in terms of, you know, all-time greatness? And I say it's really hard to break into the top table. There's a lot of famous, legendary fighters who've got a lock on certain spots. But if he was to prevail over Parker and Kaybayel, then a discussion could be very, very, very interesting. Anyhow, we're getting far too ahead of ourselves. Let's get tomorrow out of the way first. And I want to say, let the best man win, but I won't really mean it if I say it. So I'll say clean, no controversy, no fouls. That's what, as a fan, we can really hope for. And then we can cheer for our respective, favourites. I'll be cheering for Usyk and other people who I happily engage in here, who are decent guys. They can be cheering for Daniel. But I think as fans, we all want it to be no controversy, no BS, and no, funny business or anything like that. Just a good, solid, clean fight between two premier peak athletes. That's what we can. If we have that, I'll be happy. Okay, well, time for me to go and do some more stuff. Look busy. Looking busy is the key to success around here. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and I shall see you on the next video.